as I look at this side, it's kind of coming together, but it still doesn't look, to me, quite right. And so there's a couple other things we can do that will help. We can go put in, for one, adding a nav bar really does help. Most sites these days seem to have one. And so we took the nav bar out, but we can easily go put, a little simple one back in. And so if we come into the code for the shared view, the shared layout, and in the body, we come in and we say, let's add in it's called a nav class equals nav bar. So we can come put in a simple nav bar, and in there we can have a couple of links. So a class. Well, before we do that, let's just put the links in there. So a.asp controller is home, and the ASP action, this is just to get back to the home page. We can just say go back to index. And then we don't actually have any other pages in this site, and I'm not going to take the time to create one in this video. So let's just make a fake link. ASP controller still will do home, and then the ASP action is equal to some other page. Okay, so we'll add some other page at some point. So then this is some other page. All right, so just doing that much in terms of the nav bar. If we go in and run this, what we get is kind of some, some other pages way over here. That's interesting. But where I was going with this is there's all these different classes. If you go back into the CSS property, or sorry, the Bootstrap itself, and go look at the library and search for navbar, I mean, there are all these different things that make the navbar look correct. And if we go back to the default project for the stuff we deleted, we can use a couple of those things in the shared layout, and we can say things like it's a navbar class, and each of these links, we can say the class here is a navbar brand. So we can do that for each of the links. It just gives it a different kind of look. So class equals navbar brand. And we can make them look, more. I just pressed the undo button. Let's redo. All right, run this again. It gives it just a different look. It looks more like the navbar. Now, why they are so far apart, I'm trying to figure that out. I've done something. But we could. There's all these other classes. So if you go again, look at the default. It's got stuff like navbar, expand, and this is what I would. This is really the purpose of this. Is look at all these different things. I've got here a navbar, extend, small. That's what the default app uses. Let's go see what that does as I put that. Well, that's fixed my little problem of having it expand, clear out. So the expand is small. Let's do a. What if we change that to a medium? So navbar, expand, medium. And for me, in terms of Bootstrap, it's just messing around with stuff, seeing what it looks like, seeing what it does. There's a little more space between those two. What was our other options? Navbar, expand, large. And just messing around and seeing what looks good. And so it's got all this other stuff in the navbar. I'll just type all of it in for time's sake. So if we go look at the default app, it had navbar, it had a toggleable small, which maybe that was part of the class that I deleted. Navbar light, we could do a background, let's do that instead. Background light, and or not light, but white. And then there was another one that was border bottom, and then a box shadow, whoops, box shadow. That might have been part of the site CSS too, which we're going to mess with here in a second. MB3, so that's the margin and borders. And so there's all these things that go into it. Again, let's just see what that does to the look of it. All right, so now we get this thin little line. It starts to look more and more like a site. And then, just the last thing to maybe modify here, we could go put some other stuff, but in the site CSS, and this is one of the points I wanted to make, we're using here Bootstrap for all of this. Site CSS is blank, but we can then take and use our site CSS, which is linked in our layout file. We link first to the Bootstrap, and then we link to the CSS file, which is going to then take a priority over the Bootstrap stuff. And I can come into the site CSS and just do something simple. I can say, let's set the background is going to be equal to, I'm trying to remember my syntax now. I'm just doing it backwards. We're going to have body. So the body, as part of the body, let's go set the background color equal to something, not obnoxious, but something that, like, I don't know what Alice Blue is. Let's try Alice Blue and see what this looks like. Just a little shade to it. And anyway, our website starts to look a little better. It starts to look a little more professional. Again, it's Spencer good, so that's never going to look super good. But most importantly, our website is responsive, right? Based on this 12-column approach, it's going to shrink down. It still looks pretty good when I'm moving the, changing the size of the window. And so, anyway, this is just a brief look into Bootstrap. You could go watch tons of YouTube videos and read books and learn much better how to make websites look good. But at least it's important to understand the layout, the columns. I can go now drop in another row. So now you picture going back to Microsoft's site that we looked at in the beginning. And I don't know if they're using this exact format. They probably have their own, but notice you could have this kind of be one row. This ends up being a row. How do you space those things out? The links, right? This ends up being a row. And each entry in the column has an image. Then it has this little, graphic here, a heading of some sort, a little paragraph, a link, and that's all happening in that column. So to lay out this type of a website, if you follow the pattern that we've used, then you can make it laid out and look like this using the Bootstrap grid system. All right, I think that's enough for one day. Spencer out.